Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell.
And today we are back after about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks since Superman dropped. We got Fantastic Four. It's just been a crazy summer, a lot of stuff going on, so we appreciate you guys' patience with us. We had a couple of false starts on wanting to record this review, but we got to it in the end, which is awesome. But again, just super, super busy summer, particularly in my line of work, but I'm sure TJ as well. With that being said, we're going to dive right in. We kind of have a little bit of a Marvel roundup, but obviously, as you can see right below me, we got the Fantastic Four logo there, so that is going to be the main driver of what we're talking about today. I have my fresh off the Walmart shelves. I have my 60s Fantastic Four inspired retro shirt that looks like somebody from IBM would wear it. So I thought I would wear that for this review. But before we get into Fantastic Four, I want to spend just a quick minute or two talking about actually technically the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is Marvel Animation's Eyes of Wakanda. So this is obviously executive produced by Kevin Feige, Brad Winterbaum, all the normal names, but also Ryan Coogler executive produced this, just like he did with Ironheart. This is obviously about Wakanda. Now, I kind of purposely stayed away, / I've also now seen a little bit of pushback on maybe the marketing for this show really didn't do much marketing at all. I mean, I think there was only like one trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said earlier, you said you were watching this show. I said, I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah, exactly. And I felt that way too. I think it came out last week. I just got to it today. Which has been, I had a really random Wednesday off, which never happens, which only happened because I swapped with someone. So I was happy to get to it today. And I thought that this show was going to be about different Black Panthers throughout history. And that is not what this show is about, which I was a little, not abrasive, but I was a little like, at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I really fell into the rhythm of what they were doing, and that is it's actually about different war dogs throughout history. So people like Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, the technically even, what am I saying? Jabari, right? Or I think his name is Jabari. Oh my God, T'Challa's uncle, Eric Stevens' dad, Killmonger's dad, was also a war dog where they would go out and actually, pretend to live other lives, pretend to be citizens of other nations, pretend to be part of other groups, but really all in an effort to serve, whatever particular mission Wakanda needs them to fulfill. So this show is all 4 episodes are all about retrieving different vibranium artifacts, which I thought was really, really cool. And I really liked, there was a lot of thunder going on, but we live like 15 minutes apart, and it is going off at both of our houses right now. So forgive us if you hear any of that. But basically, I loved the overall premise of this show. I really fell in with the characters and what they chose to do. I was texting you, slight spoilers for just the premise of a few of the episodes here, but I won't spoil how it kind of goes. One of the episodes is about the Trojan War and Achilles and Odysseus and Agamemnon, and basically tying the Iliad and the Odyssey with a little bit of a Wakandan bend. I won't even say which character, but that as if one of those 3 big characters from the Iliad and the Odyssey was actually secretly from Wakanda. And I thought that was a great premise for an episode. I also thought the next episode was great. I thought the first episode was great. As you can see here in the official promotion, so I'm not spoiling anything here for you guys, we do get a look at a ancient Iron Fist, who is kind of in the 3rd episode in a pretty big way, which I thought was a lot of fun. And then I really won't spoil the 4th episode, but the 4th episode, if you're an eagle-eyed MCU fan, it ties in to the modern day MCU very fast into the episode. But if you're a little less tuned into, let's say, just the shape of an artifact, that I immediately was like, is that? And then at the end of the episode, it very much is tied to the first Black Panther movie. So that was a really, really fun twist with the 4th episode of how they kind of still set it in the past, but kind of tied it into T'Challa, and even Shuri and Killmonger and stuff like that. So really, really loved Eyes of Wakanda. I'm excited to see what else Marvel Animation has. Zombies is apparently coming at some point, maybe. It's been 5 years, but I think we're supposed to get Zombies next. And then obviously Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will be back. So Marvel Animation, I think in my book, another pretty good victory on that front. So yeah, if you guys watched Eyes of Wakanda, let me know what you thought about it down below. Let me know.
Do you know real quick, was this like a one-off, like just 4 episodes and they're done, or are they doing
I think
like
so, yeah. It probably is something that started as like, oh, we could do a couple of these over a couple years, but they're probably just going to move on. And I think another thing is the animation style is something completely unlike X-Men 97 or What If or Friendly Neighborhood. So I think it's really cool that we can get a little, 2-hour thing like this, and then maybe a year from now, give me something totally different. Give me something about where Shang-Chi is from, right? Give me something about, the Mandarin or something like that.
Yeah.
Just these little animated adventures that we can kind of fill in these colors of the MCU, I think are really, really cool. All right. Speaking of filling in color in the MCU, TJ, we got a lot to talk about this guy right here. And that is Peter Parker himself, Spider-Man. Spider-Man Brand New Day, pretty much right on the heels of Fantastic Four coming out, started getting kicked up into production. We've been hearing that it's been ramping up for a while. We know that there's been a really extensive pre-production on this movie, which I think is already evident at the scale and scope of some of these practical effects that we have already seen and these practical stunts that we've already seen. A lot coming out of this, which is pretty classic of any movie. If they know they're going to be filming something outside, they will usually tease what it's going to look like, so that the paparazzi isn't the first look that you get at that. But that does not stop the paparazzi. So we have a couple of images here of Tom stretching out between scenes and also doing some stunt work on there, as well as we've seen many of his stunt doubles doing different things with the swinging, the fighting, everything like that. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about it. I want to throw this over to you after I talked about Wakanda a little bit. I want to throw it over to you. Officially confirmed by the Hollywood trades, obviously not by Marvel themselves, but Kevin Feige back at the Fantastic Four premiere did confirm by name that the Punisher will be in this movie, but we now have pretty solid idea that both the Hulk and also the big one, Michael Mando, will be returning as Scorpion for this movie. So, TJ, overall, anywhere you want to go, the first initial suit reveal, the raised webbing, the new web shooters, the totally different feel, the practical stunts and stuff that we're seeing. Where do you want to go with this one? What do you want to talk about with Spider-Man Brand New Day off the top here?
Yeah, I liked what I saw with the practical swinging. I thought that all looked like really cool. Nice to see Michael Mando finally coming back.
10 years.
It was just Homecoming, right? He showed up in and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was kind of set up, and then like you said, like they never really did anything with that after. So nice to see that. I'm assuming he'll just be in this movie and then they'll be done. That's kind of the vibe I would get.
Or like the first act,
right?
Kind of
there was talk of Mr. Negative, but then I saw that he's not in the movie, and I don't know where that kind of stands. I was banking on this movie getting pushed.
Really?
I'm trying to remember like when it was like, oh, they're starting filming soon. And it just 2026 just always seemed like a really quick like turnaround time for me.
Yeah.
And then when Doomsday got pushed, I was not shocked by that because all those people in that movie, apparently the script's still not done, et cetera, et cetera. But seeing them actually shooting and stuff gives me a little bit more hope that this will make the July next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that. But yeah, I really like the new suit. I know there was some, personally, I don't get that. The whole thing with like the workup on like Twitter is like, give us the suit ball, like all that. Like, I just don't get that hype for it. I thought it looked really cool, but
what was it? I don't know. I don't know this.
Just like the hype, like just everybody's like fiending for the new suit. It's like,
yeah. Yeah,
you know.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And then there was talk of like, well, it's not the same suit as at the end of No Way Home.
Yeah, it's
which
like 95% the same.
yeah, which
suit.
I'm like, whatever. They look,
Yeah.
they look it's pretty similar to me, so I
Yeah.
don't care. But no, I'm excited. I'm interested to see how they work Jacob Batalon and Zendaya into this movie.
Right.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be that type of like he's still kind of
Looking
watches
over them or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing. And then how obviously the Hulk also plays into this as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think well, I guess I'll stay away from that now because I do want to at some point, and I'm sure we will at some point really dive in and do maybe a whole episode on what we think the story will be for Brand New Day.
Yeah.
Because I think there's just so many possibilities, and will Mr. Negative be a part of it? Will he not be a part of it? Because what is that? The thing you didn't touch on, which I'll throw back to you in a second. Punisher and Hulk. I think Mr. Negative was the easy explainer in people's minds of like, well, why would they all be fighting each other? And I think the idea of, well, Mr. Negative probably would, poison them against him, or at least just poison the Hulk against, maybe Peter and Frank together.
And would you think the Punisher special probably plays into this movie?
I think it all does. I think we're going to, because I had my timeline wrong. I thought it would be Punisher, Daredevil season 2, then Spider-Man. But I guess, and this is from Nando V Movies, his channel. He said that he thought that it was Daredevil season 2 would be the next thing that we get, then Punisher, then Punisher would lead right into Spider-Man. So I think if Punisher is the project that leads right into Spider-Man, I think absolutely it will have direct ties to what is going on with Frank. If it goes Punisher, then Daredevil, then Spider-Man, I think it'll be a little less connected. But I think we'll just have to wait and see on that. But either way, but also by connected, I wouldn't be shocked if it's really just a post-credit scene to set up Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I heard there's a Scorpion I got to go after. Something like that. Because I thought that was a great thing that I heard someone say too, is that Punisher could be dragged into it because Punisher is going after one of Spider-Man's villains and trying to kill them. And obviously Peter doesn't want to kill any of his villains. So I think that would be an interesting conflict.
Was there a... Hold on, let me Google it. Has there ever been a Scorpion live? Yes, there is. No. Yes.
No, just the little suit in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in like the basement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's never been like an actual live action Scorpion.
Right. So that'd be interesting, I guess, to see how they do that.
Only the Rhino. Which is so interesting because it's like the way that the Paul Giamatti Rhino suit moves and stuff. That's kind of what I think of as a Scorpion suit, where it's like, you know what I mean? Where with like the metal, like I think Scorpion. I picture like should feel like an Iron Man suit,
PlayStation Spider-Man Scorpion suit.
I picture Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I picture a green, probably armor plated suit. With the crazy metal, super sharp, articulated tail, and then like you said too, the great Scorpion suit in the end of the first Spider-Man game for PS4. I'm just imagining them all like in the rain when the Sinister Six assembles in that game on top of the Oscorp Tower. Man, that is a great game. But yeah, a lot of Spider-Man stuff going on right now. But okay, last thing I want to touch on. What do you think about the Hulk? What do you think this is? Obviously, there has not been a single report that does not also include, this is expected to also see a return of the Savage Hulk. Like, I think it's very clear that this will be maybe a few minutes of Smart Hulk, and then something is going to happen in this movie to kind of get. I think this movie will restore the regular Hulk Banner relationship that we're used to, so that you can get a full Hulk in the Avengers movie.
We last saw Hulk and She-Hulk, right? And that was
yes.
That was
right. Yeah, he hasn't been in anything since
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. We've seen him quite a bit. I mean, since Endgame, he's been in. I think this will be his 5th
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of subscribe to your idea that maybe they'll be kind of fighting him, but again, like you said, if Mr. Negative like isn't in the movie, I don't know how you play. Like again, obviously, we don't know how the story goes or anything, so we don't know what causes what. But I could see it being one of those things where it's like, you know, something turns him, and then we got to bring him back, type thing, to work together to defeat the common
Yeah, I
enemy.
heard somebody say if Mr. Negative isn't in it, that it could be just Scorpion's like Venom.
Yeah,
Like
that
it could be that, because the Smart Hulk thing, it's only about he you know, it's very hand wavy, but you know, he got his hormones and his stress levels and all, it's all a chemical thing that is allowing Smart Hulk to exist. You know what I mean? So it could be something just as simple as he gets a real nasty stab by Scorpion's, you know, stinger or something like that, that he's aiming for Spidey, and Bruce gets it or something, and it just throws Bruce completely haywire. I think that would be cool, because I don't think it's something that if Bruce went haywire, I don't think he could go, okay, I'm okay, and then just be Smart Hulk again. I think he'd have to redo Smart Hulk like all over again. You know what I mean? I don't think it's just a simple switch that he can flip.
And one other thing I'll just bring up, what do we think about Sadie Sink? I know there hasn't really been much talk, I feel like, in the past month or two about who she's playing. But there was the rumor that she was playing Mayday Parker, I believe. Who is, I don't actually know, so I'm not even going to try and say who I would think that is. But that would be a connection to like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Is that correct? That the people are jumping to?
That's what people are saying, and it all comes from one, I would say, unreliable podcast host out there.
Okay.
I won't name names, but I think you might know who I'm talking about. But
well, no, I've seen that in other places, not just there.
I know, but it all roots back to that show. Trust me, it all roots back to that show. I really don't buy into the if she's playing Mayday Parker, I will be the first to, I'll eat a shoe on camera, whatever you want. But Mayday Parker, Tobey Maguire's daughter in a multiverse, I don't think that is it at all.
We don't need that.
I don't think that's it at all. Also, it's like Mayday Parker doesn't, like, he doesn't say in No Way Home, like, does he say in No Way Home that he had a couple of kids? Does he say that? I don't think he says that. I think he just says, because the only line I remember is he go, you know, I had my MJ, and you know, it's complicated, but you know, we make it work. You know, that's all I remember. I don't remember him being like, I have a daughter and she's about your age. You know, I don't think that's like a thing. To me, I just think of Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. I almost said Emma Stone. Gwen Stacy, you know, whether it's going to be a Spider-Gwen or something like that. My mind immediately, ever since she got cast, with just has always fired right to Gwen Stacy. I just think that she would be just the perfect, if you're moving on from Zendaya as the love interest, at least maybe for this movie, you know, it's very complex to the fact that they're both in it and what's going to happen with that. But assuming MJ and Peter are completely no more, if you're going to move on to a new love interest, I think that Sadie Sink is a really interesting, different dynamic than what Zendaya brought to the role of MJ, because Zendaya was very, you know, she was kind of emo, kind of down in the beginning. Then she was just very out there in Spider-Man Far From Home. And then I think in Spider-Man No Way Home, she just came kind of way more into that classic MJ feel, with just like, she has her priorities, but she also wants to support Peter. I think that Sadie Sink is a young performer who could bring a totally new and different energy that is not the kind of, you know, united front that Peter and MJ were, that could really introduce an interesting new dynamic to Peter as a new love interest, or even just as a new ally or friend. You know, I don't really know who she might be playing, but
I'll stand here and say I don't need any more multiverse stories until we get to like the finale. So like Doomsday and Secret Wars. Like
like if there's like a post-credit scene that ties into the movies, which I'm sure there will be, that's totally fine. But to have another huge like element of this movie, if we didn't know about Hulk and Punisher and Scorpion and all these people, I would be like, okay, yeah, we're like the whole 5 years that we've had of, is it going to be multiverse or is it going to be street level? They seemingly pick street level, and I don't think you can do both. I don't think you should put yourself in a situation where you're doing both in the same
I think
movie.
they're just really trying to get to the end of this, multiverse saga, so they can really just kind of start fresh. And I think that's probably what Secret Wars will do. I mean, granted, I've never read the comic runs. I have no knowledge of anything, but I think they're really just trying to let's take our punch, just take our lumps, even though, obviously Fantastic Four, which we'll talk about, has not done as well as probably they would have hoped it would have done.
Yeah.
Let's just try and get a fresh slate and focus on creating good stories with maybe less production.
Yeah, I want to let's transition over to Fantastic Four here. And before we even talk about the movie itself, I want to touch on the box office stuff that people are saying, and what you just said specifically is, and Jeff Snyder on the hot mic has said this as well, is, and a million people have said this, but Kevin Feige has even said this. But like you said, they just want to get through to the other side. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think their aim is to make everything on that journey to the other side as good as it possibly can be. And I think Cap 4 in absentia, take that out of it. I think they're on a great run right now of really, really good product, really, really good movies and shows. I can't really remember and I even, I liked Cap 4 decent enough. I think you had a good time with it too. I mean, it's a fun B action movie, in a B action movie kind of way, not in a, this is as good as Civil War, this is as riveting as Winter Soldier, but it's a fun Anthony Mackie action movie with a Hulk as a villain and stuff like that. But other than that, I think they really are trying to get things under control. And I think people that are going, other podcasters and stuff and other, journalists or whatever you want to say, different articles, Variety, Deadline, stuff like that are kind of crying wolf about, the MCU's, it's toast. They make good movies again, but they can't get the audience back. It's over. I think they want to get to the other side for two reasons. And that is, I think Kevin Feige, I think Bob Iger, I think Kathleen Kennedy, everybody knows that $1 billion is just not the benchmark anymore. And I think the problem is they want to get to the other side, not only to start telling new, fresh stories again, but to kind of reset expectations on what a Marvel movie means. You know what I mean? Because we had this crazy 10 years of the Infinity Saga where it was just, they can't keep going. They're keeping going. They can't keep making more money. They're making more money. Then we had this massive heat check of COVID that was like, they were taking all these shots and just miss after miss after miss. And it was because the audience couldn't come back because of COVID. The audience didn't want to come back, because there's a lot of people who, frankly, in this generation and people our age, that really just don't even like going to the movies. And I think that those are the kind of people that you may never get back. And I think because of that, post Secret Wars, I think you got to look at that X-Men movie and go, we're hoping for 750 million. Not, we're making this movie and it's going to be our next $1 billion hit. I think that mentality is gone. And I think what we're seeing right now with all of these articles and stuff, and I'll finish my diatribe on this so we can get to the movie. I think what we're seeing with all these articles and stuff is Marvel understands that the goalposts have changed. People paying attention to this stuff understand that the goalposts have changed. But for right now, it's easy to rag on them for 3 flops in a row that, and I say flops, not bombs, because all of these movies have made their production money back. It's just a matter of they're not blowing out the doors like they used to. You know what I mean? And I think once all that stuff settles down, I think we'll be in a much healthier place to move forward and go, well, that was a really fun Marvel movie. I can't wait to see what they do next, as opposed to, well, it all hangs on Fantastic Four to properly set up Doomsday.
Yeah.
But it's like, instead, we got a really great movie that was focused on these 4 characters with a little tease, that we'll talk about. but yeah, that's kind of what I think about the whole box office, Marvel is dead thing. They can't make any money anymore. It's over. But yeah, anything on that before we get
No,
into the
I
movie
agree.
itself? All right.
Yeah, everything's said.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into the movie, TJ. We are talking about Fantastic Four. That is Matt Shackman's 2025 The Fantastic Four First Steps. So we are going to kind of, normally we do about 10-15 minute non-spoiler, and then we dive into, the spoiler discussion. We're kind of going to give our overall thoughts and our rating of the movie, and then we're just going to dive straight into the spoiler discussion on this one today, just because it's been so separate, over about a week since the movie actually came out. So we're just going to give our overall thoughts and our score, and then head right into spoilers. So TJ, what were your overall general vibes? Did you love it? Was it meh? Did it redeem the Fantastic Four cinematically? If maybe not the great savior of the MCU, but
Yeah.
how did you feel about Fantastic Four: The First Steps coming out of it?
I'd say it was pretty good. The more I think about it, the more I kind of go back and forth with it. Unfortunately, I thought there was a lot of really good, fun moments. The space sequence, obviously, being one of them. When we're first introduced to Galactus, that whole him towering over them looking like little puny ants next to him, I thought all that was great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I felt like this movie was like kind of chopped to pieces.
Like in the editing?
Yes. I just felt like, especially in the beginning, it really didn't click for me until we got to space.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought prior to that, it was just kind of a little all over the place. Like, I just never felt like I could really sit there and be in the moment with any of these characters, because as soon as I started to feel something, they would cut away to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like that for that entire kind of intro, I would say. I would say I really liked Julia Gardner, although I do wish there was more to her character. I really found the whole kind of, her saving her planet interesting, which we knew kind of was I forget, what is like the male Silver Surfer's name?
Norrin Rad.
It's like the same kind of, and I think they did that in the Tim Story, did Tim Story direct the second one? The Rise of the Silver Surfer. They did like the same thing basically. So I knew that was like part of the character. So I thought all that was interesting, but then like the turn where it's like, oh, Johnny does this thing in the middle of Times Square, and then she's just gone for like another 30 minutes, and she pops back up. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm here to save you. And then that's kind of all we get of her. Which kind of, I don't know, I thought that was that sucked. But and then I wanted more Ben Grimm. That was the character that I felt was very severely done by seemingly getting cut to pieces. Because there was clearly more there that they just got rid of.
I think particularly with like a certain other actress that's in this that we'll get to in spoilers. But
and I thought Vanessa Kirby was stand out for me. I thought her and Pedro were awesome in the roles. I thought them as a family, I felt that whole dynamic. I thought all that was great. I just the more I think about it, I get kind of a little bit more lukewarm on it. And I thought it was, it was pretty good. Again, like you said, not the savior I think we all kind of hoped it would be. And if I'm being honest, the more I thought about it too, I think out of the 3 recent superhero movies I watched, I think I put this third.
What would
next
be the
to Thunderbolts and Superman. Surprisingly, again, it's one of those things that I just did not expect to think when I came out of it, and that's kind of how it wound up being.
What would you overall say? What would you give this out of 5?
I'm giving it a 3.5 right now. I kind of went back and forth between 3 and 3.5. So if I could go like 3.25, I'd probably throw it in there.
Nice. I think, let's get the comments ready for Shill, but I love this movie. I was blown away. And honestly, I talked about this on the show a lot, and with you off the show, and with other people and everything. Honestly, the Superman and Fantastic Four, I loved Thunderbolts so much. I was really lukewarm going into both of these movies. I
Mhm.
really like in June, I was like, if they're both okay, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like to go to the last three comic book movies, um, I love all three movies. I think all three of them were so different from
Mhm.
each other and so exemplary of like what a comic book movie can be. Obviously, I think the most out of the box is Thunderbolts with, just kind of its tone and what it's trying to say and what it's
Yeah.
really about. But I think then you have on the flip side of that, you have Superman and Fantastic Four that are very much traditionalist, grounded not grounded in like a Fant Four stick grounded gray suits and everything like that kind of way. I
Mhm.
mean, grounded in the material, like super, super over the top visuals. Just the suits, the black, white, and the like light blue, I thought was fantastic. The whole 60s aesthetic, I think, worked really, really well for the movie overall.
Mhm.
I will say, I think I feel the editing stuff just as much as you. I think that it really, I mean, maybe like a 2 hour and 12-minute movie instead of a 2 hour movie. I think maybe
Yeah.
could have just given it a little bit of that breathing room. And to the Ben Grimm thing of it, I heard on the Mr. Sunday Movies, or on the Weekly Planet podcast from Mr. Sunday Movies, um, he had pointed out that he's like, and I think it's true that like in all of the previous versions, or at least in the Tim Story ones, that it's like I think the character they nailed the most was Ben Grimm, and
Mhm.
so I liked what he had said, which was kind of like it kind of felt like Ben took a little bit of a back seat in this one to kind of show how good Reed and Sue could be as characters. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's almost like they took the light off of Ben just a little bit to shine it a little brighter, obviously on Sue, and then obviously on Reed as well. And also Johnny getting a really, really good moment, kind of, because I think if you asked somebody, a year ago, what can you tell me about the Fantastic Four? I think that on average, most people could tell you the most about Ben Grimm. You know what I mean? I think he's a little bit more well defined in the kind of cultural zeitgeist.
Mhm.
And so I was totally fine with them taking a little bit of a step back with him being kind of the primary driver of this. We really didn't get a lot of his inner turmoil. And obviously, this is not an origin movie. So he's kind of been with himself in this form for a good number of years at this point. So I didn't take much issue with the amount of Ben that we got. What I did take issue with Ben was the storyline that clearly was cut. Because
Yeah.
I just think that if you left that in,
Mhm.
it'd be one thing. I wouldn't be mad at all, and I wouldn't have any issues at all if that's just all that we got. But because this storyline was so clearly there and then was so clearly stripped out of the movie, I think did leave me wanting a little bit more with him. And we can talk about that in a second too. But I think overall, I really loved, and the score of this movie, I think it's one of Michael Giacchino's best scores, hands down. I think the main theme obviously is fantastic, but even things like Sue Storm's theme when she has her big moment towards the end of the movie, the space sequence with the Silver Surfer theme
Mhm.
when they are in the black hole sequence and well, I guess we'll get into spoilers to talk about that more in specific. But also, somebody, I don't know if you brought it up or not, but Galactus I thought was perfect. I thought
Oh,
was
agreed.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Ralph Ineson just crushed the role at everything that was asked of him to bring to it. He brought to it perfect. Really, really happy with that. And then yeah, so for me, I gave it, what I did was coming out of the movie, I gave it a 4. I gave it a
Mhm.
solid 4 out of 5. And I'll tell you, like you with what is it? No One Mourns the Wicked. I have been
Yeah.
listening to that score over and over and over again for the past 2 weeks. And I went back and I edited it and I bumped it to 4.5 out of 5,
Mm.
just the extra half star just for the score. Because to me, I think it is that much of a character of the movie. It's that much of the it's just as much the music as it is the aesthetic and the 60s retro futurism vibes and everything like that. I thought everything just came together to work great. And I also thought that this movie visually looked so rich and dynamic. And you're going from the inside of Galactus's ship, which is this like lava filled hellscape, back to, you know, then you can have a scene where it's really low light and they're talking over, you know, a crib in their apartment. And then you can have, I thought one of the best looking ones that reminded me of Batman Returns was like when it's super snowy and it's just Reed and Sue and they're just in their civilian clothes, just walking through Times Square when all the streets are like super empty. I really love that scene.
Can I like just, and that just reminded me, and again, I watched this, I think it came out 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. Like, so that scene, the way they kind of just cut to that just like, there were some of those moments where I just felt like they were just very jarring, where I felt like we just cut kind of like in the middle of something where I'm like, oh, how did we end up outside in the snow and all this other stuff. So it was just like little stuff like that just kind of kind of drew me out of the movie. And just kind of getting into this, and this is even like a spoiler thing, but this is something that
we can go ahead and jump into spoilers now.
Well, this particular isn't spoiler, but
yeah.
What did you think of Johnny's being lit aflame? Like, how did you think that looked? Because for me, yes, I thought it took me completely out. Like, it just did not look very good to me. I thought the thing looked
like
awesome.
The Human Torch effect.
Yes, the Human Torch effect I thought looked very bad.
Very bad. Oh, I didn't. I thought it looked great, and I didn't think there was a single time where I thought it looked odd.
Yeah.
What about it?
It just did not look, and obviously it's not natural, but it just didn't look. I don't know if it's believable is the right word, because again, it's not. That's not a thing that people do in real life. But it just it looked off to me. And when I would look at the thing, I'd be like, okay, I believe that. But like, I think in action, I just don't think it works. And specifically more to me when he's talking to Julia Garner and they're kind of walking into Galactus's like throne room. And he's just kind of like standing there like this, not making any like kind of movement and just kind of floating there. Like, all of that kind of looked. And correct me if I'm wrong. I might be remembering this incorrectly as well. Does his body go fully aflame, or is it only?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
so maybe
all the in between.
Again, I'd have to watch it again. So maybe it was kind of because there's parts where he's not fully aflame, like what I was just talking about. Where maybe I'm
like right here on this right here.
Right, exactly. So take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Me saying that. Would have to go watch it again, but on initial viewing, I was like, I just did not think it looked that good.
Did you see it in IMAX?
No.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have an issue with that at all. But that's, I mean, obviously, if it's, I think also CG and CG characters specifically and CG elements laid over real footage, which the Human Torch is a combination of all three of those things.
Right.
I think it's just super, it can be super hit or miss with just the individual person too. But yeah, I didn't have an issue with that at all. I actually thought that all the powers looked pretty great throughout it. And we can dive fully into spoilers now. Which we can kind of just bounce around whatever. I have a list of everything broken down, but we kind of want to keep this a little shorter, so we don't have to keep it to 6 minutes, but we can kind of bounce around and everything. But full spoilers going forward here, but just talking about the powers too, I thought maybe for me, which I think is no surprise, I think Reed was the most questionable of the powers to me, but not because, in my opinion, not because the effect didn't look good. I thought they like restrained themselves. I was like, let's get a big thing going. And obviously he has the big moment where Galactus, kind of pulls him apart at the end and everything. But I thought that every time he was stretching and stuff, I thought it looked great. Particularly, I really liked how the first half of the movie, it showed how he can just use it in kind of more mundane settings. Like when she's giving birth, and he's like, you need gravity to push. You can't just give birth in zero gravity. So to do that, he like holds her down to the table, and then they cut to the wide shot, and his legs are all the way out at either end of the room to kind of like stabilize both of them. I thought like stuff like that was very, very cool. But yeah, I just think, and granted, if trajectory stays the same, we're gonna have 6 movies with these people, if not more. So this is just the first at bat with that. You know, it's like Iron Man didn't. You know, it was a huge thing when Iron Man finally in Infinity War, his legs like fused together to make a big rocket. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And people were like, "Whoa, he's going like crazy fast." And then everybody hated that suit. But yeah, I think to me, whatever disappointments I had with the abilities and the display of the abilities, I think that's stuff that they can hone in, make better every time. Because even the Tim Story movies, all of their effects looked better in the second movie than they did in the first movie. Particularly Silver Surfer, and who again I think here looks the effect for Silver Surfer I think looked fantastic.
Agreed.
Pretty much in every single scene that she was in. But yeah, where do you want to kind of go first? I mean, I guess the biggest spoiler that isn't really a spoiler, I don't know, is Franklin Richards is in this movie. Obviously, we see Sue Storm being a mother, and motherhood and the elements of being a family are huge in this movie. But yeah, where do you kind of want to go first?
Let's talk about, I guess, I want to talk a little bit about Galactus, because I thought he was really cool.
Let's do it.
And again, I feel like a very, very simple motivation. He just wants to get rid of what he deems, and maybe this is, I don't have a bunch of background on Galactus on if he was cursed or not, but this curse for hunger to eat these planets, and he wants to get rid of this. And I don't know. Like I said, I thought he was a really good villain. You think when he arrives in New York City that he's gonna get him, and then he is like, "You stupid idiots! I'm not gonna step in this trap."
Yeah.
And then he's walking down, and he's really giving him the business for the most part.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie,
just by walking.
Yeah, I really liked, and this is kind of moving away from Galactus, but Herbie. I really liked Herbie. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's okay. I don't think they ever go back to tell you he's good.
There at the end. So
he is.
Whether
okay.
that's
missed that.
I mean, I would assume it's a rebuild.
Right.
Because I think we lost our guy in that moment.
Because even when he grabbed him, I'll be honest, I wasn't even really worried about Franklin. I was like, I hope Herbie's okay.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I said in that moment. That's exactly what I said too. I was like, where's Herbie?
Yeah.
Because he was right in finger range. So I think he got pretty well beat up in that. But yeah.
And then Shia LaBeouf. Like I said, I just wanted more Julia Gardner in that character. I thought they did a really good job with establishing a relationship with her and Johnny. And then
let's go into after whatever you're about to say. Let's go into the Johnny and stuff with that.
I did think the Times Square. I think it was in Times Square. I thought that was a little just. There wasn't. I wanted some communication. It was kind of just Julia Gardner yelling and then running away. There wasn't really any open line of communications. Or
are you talking about when the Harold scene, or the when he's playing the audio recording?
Yeah, when he's playing the audio.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted more of that. It just seemed very like simple, where it's like, okay, we got to get her kind of, we got to turn her against Galactus somehow.
Yeah,
let's do this, and then she'll run away for 30-40 minutes, and then she'll come back and save the day. And that's it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I agree with you on that. I think particularly in that scene, I think Johnny has a lot of really great lines in his, like, this planet, you let them to die. These people, there's, you let them starve before Galactus even got there. Like he's throwing her like all these details and stuff that he's cracked about it. And she's really just kind of like having a freak out, taking it all in.
Right.
And like you said, I would have liked a little like, well, what about this planet? And her maybe
having an explanation,
throwing out justifications.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, well, that planet was on course for an asteroid collision.
Yeah.
That I picked these planets that were already fated to do whatever. I think a little wrinkle like that would have been good, but also I think that kind of tips a little too similar to the Tim Story one, because it's like I think they went with Shia LaBeouf over Norrin Rad for many reasons. I think chief among them is so that it would make sense for Johnny Storm, who not to say that Johnny Storm can't be attracted to men, but he is almost always displayed as heterosexual.
Right.
I think mostly it was to give Johnny a direct, immediate connection to the Silver Surfer, to be attracted to her. And I think that helped. But
so speaking of Johnny too, something that is kind of coming back to me. Did you feel like there was kind of this underlying thing that I feel like they didn't really go into that much, where it was like Johnny sees him, like he wants to help, you know what I mean? Like he's not this stupid idiot that just is attracted, you know.
I love Joseph Quinn.
I thought when he's like, oh, I designed the spacesuits right in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe this will be like a common thing that keeps coming up, like, oh, I did this and this, and Reed kind of brushes it off. But it really didn't play that way. I feel like they let that sit for like a minute, and then Reed's like, oh no, I did build the suits that you designed, you know, that type of thing. Where I just felt like they could have, and maybe that's just them not really wanting to have that conflict between all of them, because they already have, like, you know, you want to place our baby as bait and, you know, do all this other stuff. And
I thought that stuff was
and you have Reed and Sue's obviously conflict that kind of goes throughout the entire movie. So maybe they just didn't want to play into that as much, which I get. I just thought it was kind of interesting that they kind of set it up a little bit in the beginning, and then they didn't really go back to it.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Reed here. I think we'll hit Reed and then Sue, and then probably wrap up with whatever lingering things that we have out there. But for Reed, I think, to me, I mean, the two moments that really got me, that, I mean, I've talked to you, talked to people in real life, talked on this show. The one thing that really just wasn't there for me in the marketing was Pedro Pascal as Reed. That was ever since the casting came out. I think on this show, when we talked about it, I was like, I thought he blew me away. I mean, I don't know why I doubted the master at this point, but I think he blew me away with what he brought to Reed, what he brought to this movie, with the interpersonal dynamics with everybody on the team, particularly with Sue. And where he really blew me away was my favorite scene of the movie, which was super emotional, which was when he's talking to Franklin, and he's it's in the sequence where they're kind of conserving power and stuff like that. And he turns off the machine, and he has that great monologue to his son about, like, you know, it's scared me when you came into this world. It scared me when you were threatened. All of this has scared me. And I've been trying to find out what you are, and I'm going to stop trying. I'm just going to let you tell me who you are. And I was like, man, that delivery, again, Pedro Pascal being a dad, he's perfect at it. But that delivery of that scene with Franklin, I mean, that to me was like the emotional crux of the movie. I loved that scene so much. And I loved the scene where he was, you know, saying, you know, it's my job to think these horrible things to prevent them from happening. And then I loved Sue firing it right back at him and saying, well, the way that your brain works, sometimes it hurts me. Like the way that you process things can affect the people around you, the people in this room, your family, and you don't see that. And it's like, you can know that. And I know, you know, that you are the greatest mind on earth. But you have to understand that your great mind and your greatness sometimes can have a negative effect on the rest of us, can sometimes blow back on us.
Yeah. And that's just, I think, just playing into something that everybody can relate to, especially if you're in a relationship with another person. It's just, people have different perspective on things, and those type of situations, conversations can either go really well or not well. And, you know, how you and whoever you're with kind of work through that. So no, yeah, I agree. I thought all that was great. I thought I do wish, like, I really liked how kind of the world that they were in really embraced them and that they were like the world's heroes. I do
Yeah.
think they turned on them very quickly and just
And then turned back just
and then
as
turned
quick.
back very
Yeah.
quickly.
Although that, I mean, we can kind of talk about that too, but that scene with Sue I thought was really, really good.
I would, yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. What'd you think of that kind of press conference when they come back from space? I know people were like giving them shit, like you can't say that. You can't say like,
It's the
well,
Star-Lord thing in Infinity War all over again for me. Is
yeah,
the people that are actually complaining about that like, well, why would he say that? He put his whole family at risk. It's like he's emotional, and also I like the headcanon that and I'll be honest, there's no explanation for this in the movie, which I would have liked. But I like the headcanon that's just like Reed assumes the best in this Reed assumes the best in people, and it's like, why wouldn't they understand? Why would they ask? Like, obviously we're not giving up our son. Like, I like the idea that it's just like he just thought it was so matter of fact of like, well, obviously we're not doing that. Like, and it kind of plays to this society, this kind of perfect world society, that it's like, well, even the most perfect world, when push really comes to shove, they're gonna want to sacrifice your baby to save their own lives.
right.
And I think that's where Sue coming in with her great speech of, the incredible line of, I won't give up my son for this world, but I won't give up this world for my son.
Right.
I thought that was really, really good. And, I get the whole complaint with like, oh, they go really easy and then they get flipped really easy and stuff. But also it's like, it's a movie. It's like that, like it's a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff
I think you could have had like some people be like, yeah, no, I don't like still screw you guys,
Well, they
that
say
type
that
of
there's
thing.
like a
And then,
Galactus cult forming in the Himalayas or
I
something
must
like
have
that.
missed that.
Yeah, they're like the cult of Galactus is forming in at Mount or at the tip of Mount Everest, which I thought was funny. But yeah, but maybe you even show that. Maybe you show the people who don't buy what Sue is talking about. But I thought, to me, it was way less important that speech won over the public as it was that it won over the rest of the family. It got the family back on the same page. You know what I mean? Because obviously there's the direct call out where he's like, it gives him the idea for the Archimedes lever to actually move the earth, which is one of the craziest ideas that I've ever seen in a movie in my life. That they're like, I know, we're just going to teleport the earth for 40,000 light years across space.
It is a little like, again, like you said, it's a movie. It's a little like everybody's working together. Like, I just obviously can't really picture that, but
that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, the people that are really getting upset about that stuff, where it's like 36 hours to build all of those. Come on, man. Like, it's a movie. It's a movie about a perfect world where everybody magically can work together.
Yeah.
We probably could get something crazy done like that if everyone was working together and put all their resources on the table. Well, all but one country. But yeah, I really, really liked it, but we do have to wrap up soon. So do you have any lingering things before we kind of get to the big post-credits scene?
Just real quick, want to talk about Paul Walter Hauser. I thought he was good in the Mole Man role.
Yeah, totally different from, I think, what a lot of people are. If anything, for Spider-Man Brand New Day, Mole Man should give us an indication that somebody can be in a movie, you have no idea what role they're going to play.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, oh, Mole Man, I literally said it about Scorpion. Oh, that he's going to be like Act 1 villain, and they're going to beat him. Totally different role. Completely different, interesting thing that I didn't think they would do with him.
Do you think John Malkovich was along the same lines? Like, same amount of kind of just, maybe he's in it for 5-10 minutes max?
Yeah, maybe it was like, oh, they're also fighting the Red Ghost at the beginning, but then it's like, oh, but the Red Ghost, his monkeys are going to help
build the machines or
something like that. And I think they were just like, is this a little bit of like, as great as John Malkovich is this a little like putting a hat on a hat when we already have like this Mole Man stuff? And about the fact that he's actually working with the Fantastic Four. to help the world as opposed to, trying to harm people and stuff like that.
So just real quick, and just kind of touching on the Thing again.
Yeah.
I go back. I always play back in my mind when he's the world has turned against them, and when he's walking in the alleyway, and the guys on the bikes go by and they go, "What about us?" And he goes back. He goes, "Oh, it's getting rough."
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
it's like is that
throw
rough?
a freaking can of soup at him or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You can put a lot of power behind a can of soup. That's right.
But yeah, like you said, I wanted more of that kind of internal turmoil.
Yeah,
from him, where it's like, oh man, I do kind of wish I could go back to being me, how I used to look. And we get like a split second of that in the TV. That's in the trailer, and that's really all you get, honestly, from that. And then Natasha Lyonne, there was obviously something more with her character that they just were like, yeah, we don't need this.
Yeah.
I think it was very bare bones.
It was the bare bones of like, they were like, we just need to have Ben have something that's outside of the Baxter building to care about. Yeah. And honestly, I think there's a lot of decisions that were, well, I don't want to open a whole can of worms of like the Marvel process and what they're doing to change the process and stuff like that. But let's just say, I think if they knew that she was going to be cut down that drastically, it wouldn't be Natasha Lyonne. You know what I mean? If they that probably wouldn't even been in it, because it was about as effective to me as just his care for the kids on that show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you didn't even really need to have her character in there for anything other than being a love interest, and they kind of cut the love interest part out of her part. So it just kind of felt like she was just there to whatever. And I think they probably knew they were in a difficult situation with, listen, we're already cutting Malkovich completely out of this movie. Do we really want to cut another actress completely out of this movie? So I think they did the best with what they had. And I think it was worth keeping her in there for some of those scenes. And I specifically think it'll really pay off if it's something where she comes back, if it's something that she's back in the next Fantastic Four movie, or at the end of Secret Wars or something like that. I think then you'll look back at this movie and go, oh, this is really just the start of something, as opposed to, why is this in here? It's not really going anywhere.
Right.
But yeah.
And last quick thing before we get to the post credit. Obviously we're going to see Julia Gardner again.
You think so?
I would have to imagine.
Yeah.
I'd have to imagine. I don't want to believe that that's where they're just going to leave that character. But I was more interested in Galactus. Like, he's not dead, right?
I think you'll see Galactus again before Silver Surfer. I think so. I think so. Because I think it's like Galactus could be something in Doomsday or in Secret Wars where Doom's like, and I brought one other person to help.
Right.
And then like a portal opens and Galactus walks through, and you're like, oh my God.
Because they just pushed him into like a.
They said it was just the other side of space.
That's what I thought, right?
Yeah.
I was like, he's just in space somewhere.
Yeah.
He's not like in a black hole or something.
No, he's not like destroyed at all. He's basically like marooned because he doesn't have his ship.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think, if anything, could be, because people were like, oh, I wish that he would like chomp a planet, but he had his ship. Maybe he has to now do it without his ship. Now he has to consume planets without his ship.
Yeah. Did you see like some questions about like, how does he consume the planet? It's like, did you guys not see the giant drill that drilled through that planet?
Yeah. It's just people not paying attention to the movie that they're watching. Like, it's like, well, I saw somebody be like, well, how does he actually ingest the planet? He doesn't. You not see the giant lava tubes. The drill breaks the planet up. They melt down the lava, and then the lava is piped into him. That's why he has tons of pipes and tubes coming out, and that's why when Reed is fighting him, he like. Which, by the way,
exactly.
I love.
I thought that was cool.
That he didn't just. Whoa, super big punches and crazy stuff, that he was using science, that he was like, I'm going to turn the knobs on this guy and see what happens.
It's like Ant-Man going to Iron Man's suit.
Literally, exactly. That was the thought that I had in the theater. Was I was like, this is like Ant-Man with Iron Man all over again. And I love that he like uses that thing as a screwdriver and opens his lava stuff, and then he's like, oh, like that's actually doing damage to him. So yeah, I love that stuff. I love the mechanics of Galactus. Like you said, he was giving them the business, man. That was not an easy fight. He takes Ben and throws him, and he just flies out into outer space. He's just gone. I thought that was great. And then obviously that leads to then when they're both flying back in, what time has it been?
Oh,
you know, that was great. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I know it sounds like you enjoyed it too, just I enjoyed it a little bit more. But yeah, really happy with the last 3 comic book movies from both studios, which I'm very happy to say. Excited for Peacemaker. I know we'll definitely be talking about Peacemaker on the channel.
Post credit, real quick.
Oh yeah, let's of course. Yeah, what do you think of the post credit scene?
That was cool.
Yeah.
They said it's RDJ. Matt Sheckman said that was Robert Downey Jr. If it was Robert Downey Jr., why don't you give me something?
Fooled me.
Give me his face in some way, shape, or form. I saw some people say, hey, have his face reflect off the mask, and then you could see it that way. Yeah. That's cool. You could do that.
Or even just a voice line. I get that it's about money. Like, I get that it's about money and likeness. Is that it's like, even if he is on set, if he turns or if you see his likeness in any way, you're shooting it up astronomically to how much you have to pay this guy.
And if it's not him,
but still.
If it's not him, I don't care. Don't tell if it's not him. Don't tell me it was him, because honestly, it doesn't really make a difference because we don't see his face. So who really cares?
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool. You know, I guess we'll see where that goes. Obviously, I'm assuming.
Well, let's talk the practicalities for a second. What did you think about the time jump? Because we're now at 10 years of the Fantastic Four, and Franklin is now 5. Yeah. So, like, don't forget that it's not just about Franklin's older. It now means that it's been almost a decade since they formed as a team. So it's like the dynamic will be even more kind of meshed. You know what I mean?
And then, we don't know what kind of his relationship is already to them, right? And that's the other thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know him.
Right.
I think the people that and I've thought this the whole time, but the people that are like, oh, you have to have him and Reed dynamic. That's what it's all about. How people could possibly think that the Fantastic Four, being the movie first, like the movie leading into the next 2 Avengers movies where Doom is the villain, how they think that they would just be completely unrelated, like blew my mind. Like that he would go, that Reed would show up in Doomsday and go, all right, Thor, so who's this guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Obviously, he's going to be from their universe. Like, it blew it drove me nuts when people would be like, do we think Doom's going to be from 838, from the Illuminati, or where do we think he's going to be from? I think they are going 100% classic college roommate with Reed and Ben. Crazy accident happened, big blowout fight, and then Victor dropped off the face of the earth. And now, boom, he's back and he's in their kitchen. And I think that's what it's going to be.
What do you think about the changing the face theory? You've probably heard that one, right? That Franklin like changed his
what? Because he fucking touched his face. Like, people. All right, we're gonna call it there, but no, it just this shit like that is like, man, because he touched his face. Like, I know what you're talking about, but like he's healing his scars.
Yeah, or something like that.
Like, come on. I don't think so at all. I think it's gonna be. I think we all just have to be ready for the fact that he's gonna be out of the mask for a good amount of time.
Right.
But I think what this post-credit scene shows is that he will be in the mask for a good amount of time. I think that it's definitely quelled any fears that I had about the mask just not being a part of the character.
Yeah, last thing I'll say is I think they're gonna have to do a decent amount of work for people like me who never thought of Doctor Doom on a level of like a Thanos or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was always just going off those Tim Story movies, and to me, I'm like, yeah, he's strong, but it's like,
Yeah,
they beat him in one movie, you know, whereas
yeah.
obviously Thanos was like,
And then they beat him again.
yeah, they beat him
Yeah.
again, whereas Thanos was like years and years of buildup,
Yeah.
and you know, we know what obviously happened there at the end of Infinity War.
Mhm.
So I think that is going to be tough for me to kind of, and seeing these in the comics, he's obviously very, very strong and all that other stuff. But again, me not having that knowledge, I'm like, yeah, but like Thanos was like, he was like, he snapped and wiped out half the universe. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think honestly, it is. I think they're just going to do what they did with Thanos. I think that Doomsday is going to be Doom's movie.
yeah,
Like everybody's like, oh, Hemsworth is the co-lead, Pascal's the co-lead. They're whoever it is, they're all co-lead with Robert Downey Jr.
yeah,
So it's like I think I fully am in agreement with you. I think that you're going to have to win some people over with that, but I don't think it'll be an issue for them. I think it'll be do a really crazy opening, a crazy finale in Doomsday, and going into Secret Wars, you're going to be like, man, he's right up there with Thanos. You know what I mean? When he starts when he rips New York City out of 828 and throws it into the void, or whatever that's going to look like, or whatever he uses Franklin to literally tear out pieces like it's a Fortnite map of, you know, different things and mesh everything together in Battle World. I think just seeing that, like an audience literally just physically seeing that transpire in the movie, I think will be enough to be like, whoa, this guy is like powerful. This guy is potent. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. But yeah. Anything else?
No, that is it for me.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for that kind of Marvel roundup, as we're calling it, big review of Fantastic Four. I always got to get the name right. It is the Fantastic Four : First Steps. It's not Fantastic Four: The First Steps, which is always what I try to say. But thank you guys so much for joining us for our Fantastic Four review. Let us know in the comments. Are you excited for Spider-Man Brand New Day? Are you going to check out Eyes of Wakanda? And where did you fall in Fantastic Four? What did you give it out of 5? How did you feel about the movie? How did you feel about the characters, the presentation, what it means for Marvel, what the kind of box office story that's going on right now might mean for Marvel, or just what your opinions are on it? Let us know all that in the comments down below. That will do it for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I've been another TJ Cornwell. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow us.